So should the Georgia Bulldogs throw more often to the tight ends? That's a good question. That's something that when I run into people in Athens and all over the state, they talk about that a lot. Dean Legge from Dog Post, making you a smarter Georgia fan. Let's take a look at the tight ends. They were used a little bit more often maybe than I think people realized last year, particularly when JT Daniels started taking over. So a season ago, the Georgia Bulldogs essentially had three tight ends that caught passes. And, Trey McKitty was a guy that started the season as Georgia's number one receiver, tight end in terms of catching the ball. He had three catches in his first, in his first two games. Excuse me, three of his first catches were in the first few games. From that point forward, he kind of went blank. Some of that was because he missed games for not playing in them. But at the end of the season, you see he had as many catches closing the year out as he did starting it. John Fitzpatrick, another guy that played quite a bit. He had, just real quick math here, 10 total catches. 5 of them came in the games where JT Daniels was the quarterback. What about Darnell Washington, the washing machine? Had a catch against Arkansas for 26 yards, a catch against the Cats for 33, and then he had 5 catches total against Missouri and Cincinnati. I don't know if y'all remember those games, but particularly the Cincinnati game, he sort of came alive. That's five of his 7 catches came with the switch at quarterback. It's a good question. What will it mean for Georgia to have more of a presence on the tight end at the tight end spot? It's really a weapon considering the tight ends Georgia's got. Those 3 guys, obviously McKitty is gone, but you look at who's coming back with Darnell. You also have, like I said before, Fitzpatrick, Godey. You got Bowers, Seether. Those guys have not played yet. So Georgia's recruited pretty well at the tight end spot. And now we're going to see moving forward how well. I mean, Godey was hurt this past year. How are they going to move forward at a spot that you can really cause problems for the defense? When you think about Darnell Washington in particular, someone his size, nobody's going to have the ability to match up with his size that's playing on a defense. A defensive lineman could, but they have no speed, of course. And, of course, guys who are in the secondary or linebackers will be faster than Darnell. But when you watch Darnell Washington play, the important thing to watch is that it's hard to get him down. It's not just hard to get him down. He still moves forward when you're getting him down. That's the problem. So it's really one of these spots at Georgia where they really could take advantage more of what they've got. And they've got a lot. Again, Fitzpatrick, Darnell coming back. You have the 2 guys who've not yet played. And then you also have, Bowers from Napa, California. They really have really good options, the Bulldogs there. Now the question is, will JT Daniels continue to take advantage of them? Because if you listen to what I had a minute ago, the spotlighting of Darnell against Missouri and Cincinnati, the first drive of the game against Carolina with Trey McKitty, how much John Fitzpatrick was thrown to in the Peach Bowl as well. The tight ends were used a lot. Now I will say also at the beginning of the season, I do think that Stetson did a very good job of getting the ball to the tight ends often. But in the middle of the season, that started either getting taken away or he didn't go to it as often. We also know that there was a McKitty injury during that time. So, this is a Georgia team that's going to be extremely explosive at wide receiver. It's really going to be critical for them to take advantage of what's there with the tight end, particularly in the red zone. I just, some people overdo the tight end talk. And that Georgia has such good tight ends kind of even brings it back more that you'd like to see them take advantage of what they've got at that spot. But, even though folks really sort of that's their go-to line, why don't you throw to the tight end more often? My answer would be for that one at Georgia is the wide receivers are better than the tight ends, which I do think, generally speaking, is true. But it's there, and the one thing about Todd Monken's system is it does really feel like the middle of the field is available in a way that it kind of either wasn't used in the past or wasn't taken advantage of, whatever you want to call it. When you think about Jake Fromm's time at Georgia, Isaac Notto was a really good tight end and could be really dangerous at times. But when Notto left, it didn't seem like there was a lot remaining. I mean, Eli Wolf became a tight end for Georgia, and frankly, I'm just forgetting people who played the position. That's a bad sign. I mean, for someone like me who covers the team, you want to know the tight ends. Fitzpatrick is not as gifted physically as Darnell Washington, but there's a reason why he's on the field, and he made plays against Cincinnati. Darnell Washington, I mean, those two guys are going to be the 1-2 punch in in those double side tight end sets. How long I would stick with the tight ends when you've got such explosive wide receivers? That's for someone smarter than me to answer. But I'll tell you right now, the receivers being so scary is going to mean an opportunity for the tight ends. Jake Fromm used his running backs a ton. I think you're going to see more and more, with the exception of maybe James Cook, you're going to see more and more going away from the running backs and going towards the literal receivers, guys who are your primary receiving the ball. But again, George Pickens, Dominique Blaylock will be back. I just look over here for a second. I don't want to forget anybody. Kieras, Marcus Rosemy, St. Jack, Burton, Smith. They got a bunch of wide receivers with some serious skill. Again, the tight ends at Georgia, Fitzpatrick, Washington, Godey, Seether, and Bowers. They've got 5 guys. They all should expect to play because tight ends, they don't just sit around. They're really, really important, not just on offense, but on special teams. Special teams is a critically important part of things too. So I think that's why doesn't Georgia use their tight ends more? My answer to that probably this year was that they had better wide receivers. Will that be the case in 2021? Seems like the case. But there are going to be times when, JT Daniels, Todd Monken, and company are going to be able to take advantage of what Darnell, John Fitzpatrick, those guys give them in the middle of the field or to the side. I mean, when you think about, it's hard to miss Darnell Washington. When you see him live, and y'all will see more of this when you get to games. I don't think TV does it justice. But when you see Darnell Washington live, he is huge. I mean, really big. And the ball in his hands is a frightening thing because he's going to get 5 yards. I mean, that's just what it is. Because he's just so, one person almost never is going to bring him down. You're going to have to be a very skilled tackler and hit him in the right spot to get him down. If you want to talk more about this, head on over to dawgpost.com, dawgpost.com. We'll see you over on the website.